Lesson 1.3: Progressives, Muckrakers, and the Political Machine. The Gilded Age was a time of large economic growth in the United States. As the demand for goods such as lumber, oil, gold, and silver grew, so did the need for transportation of goods. During this time, men such as John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie made enormous amounts of money, coining the nickname the Gilded Age. Political machines gained power by getting members of their party elected to office. They used bribes and favors to get votes and people into office, often bribing police officers as well. Patronage is a system of support and often money given by a person or organization. Political machines during the Gilded Age used patronage from wealthy business owners to work their way into office. Boss Tweed was one of the first and most notorious political machine leaders. He started as a volunteer firefighter and worked his way up to the head of the New York City political machine. Over time, he skimmed millions of dollars off government contracts and programs. He was eventually tried for embezzlement and died in prison. Civil service came into action following the years of political machines and the use of patronage, placing individuals in jobs they were not qualified to complete. Now, instead of using government jobs as political bribes, these positions were open to all who were interested. Following the political and social upheaval of the 1890s, the turn of the century brought middle-class reformers intent on change. Journalists pointed out the poor working conditions in many factories, political activists struggled to make the government more responsive to people, and many more improvements were called for. Muckrakers were a group of reformers determined to expose any societal injustice. They investigated poor working conditions in factories and sweatshops, living conditions in the slums, and treatment of inmates in prison. They wrote about their findings, stirring up public awareness and reform. Florence Kelley was a social reformer dedicated to causes such as the abolishment of child labor, protective legislation for women, a set minimum wage, and health care for women, for mothers and children. Frederick Taylor revolutionized worker productivity by developing the principles of scientific management. His reforms included specifically training workers on machines and processes and dividing the workload between managers and employees. Robert La Follette served in Congress, the Senate, and as governor of Wisconsin. He worked to reform political corruption and fought against large corporations. La Follette was known for his progressive activism and loud, passionate oratory. Part of the makeover America was receiving at the turn of the century included changes to city life. Professional police and firefighters were hired. New methods of transportation, such as trolleys, were utilized as well as new sanitation systems and overall housing improvements. The legal changes of the progressive era included several amendments which led to an income tax. Senators were now directly elected by the people, and women had the right to vote. Acts such as the Pure Food and Drug Act were created to ensure the general health of the public. Prohibition was the move to prohibit the consumption of alcohol. In the past, it had been noted that alcohol was frequently associated with poverty and insanity. Prohibition became a national movement by the early 20th century. It was hard to enforce, however, and was soon done away with. The conservation movement focused on preserving American heritage through books, pamphlets, and moving pictures. From 1850 to 1920, several activists worked to memorialize the varied beauty of American nature.